Several ways to cut your Social Security benefits. So we'll talk about three of those today, and then we'll get into the live Q&A. A lot of people are going to be needing help this year because of the cuts at Social Security Administration. We're looking at thousands of thousands. They're figuring about 7,000 or so they want to cut from the Social Security Administration. It's already at a 50-year low in terms of staffing. People are having to wait for months for disability, months for retirement, survivor benefits, Medicare, and it's only going to get worse. And so I want to jump into the live Q&A as much as possible, particularly over the next year when all of this chaos continues to happen and people are not able to get their benefits. Well, one way to cut Social Security benefits is what they tried under the Bush administration, is just go in there and, give the money to Wall Street. That didn't work. They tried a frontal assault, didn't work. Okay. So the other way to do it is to, destroy confidence in Social Security Administration, kick the can down the road, don't solve the problems, and just wait for the cuts to happen in the future. And that's kind of way it is happening right now. Is if nothing happens, which it doesn't look like anything is going to happen, automatic cuts are going to start in about 2033, 2034. We're looking at about 21, 22% or so. If the no taxes on Social Security, which is fine, but it's going to bring cuts to Social Security quicker, no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, that's fine. But it's going to put a bigger stress on Social Security, and therefore those cuts are going to start sooner and for everybody. It's not one of those things where you get grandfathered in. No. So there is, outright cuts. They start, they tried once and they, realize they can't do it. There's the other cuts in the future where they just sit around and do nothing, sit on their hands. We don't make politicians do anything, and it just eventually just happens automatically. Or they block access to those benefits. So those are the cuts that are going to be happening over the next several months. Is sure, the money is there. The trust fund is not being touched. It obviously is being reduced every year because, checks are going out and they're taking money out of the trust fund. But you're blocked to get access to them, because if you want to go ahead and file for retirement benefits, yeah, good luck with that. There's nobody at the Social Security Administration like, well, I can just go ahead and file it online. Yes, when you file it online, guess what? Somebody on the other side actually has to look at that claim and confirm your earnings record and check to make sure, if you listed any spouses, that those spouses are protected. If they're entitled to any benefits, might have to check your legal status in the United States, might have to check your birth certificate. So there's an actual human being that has to do that. Not sure AI can do that yet, maybe in the future, but right now there's an actual human being. Spouse benefits, same type of situation. You can do that online, but somebody has to look at it from the other side. Disability application, that is definitely not going to be anything that's done by AI anytime here in the near future. Survivor benefits, no application online. So all of the people that are going to be filing for Medicare, the retirement benefits, survivor benefits, pretty much over the next year, good luck with that. It's going to be very, very difficult. And what happens is people file at the wrong time because they're not able to access the system. Nobody at Social Security is there. They're going to be closing down offices. And they say, well, we're only letting off, the people in the headquarters, the people that don't help, customer service. No, I've reached out to a lot of my old Social Security compatriots. And yesterday was very difficult to reach out to people because it looks like they were having retirement parties, early retirement parties, separation parties throughout the country. A lot of people have decided to go ahead and leave the agency. They've seen the writing on the wall that their services are no longer required, wanted by the American people, by politicians, by Elon Musk, Doge, whoever the case may be. And so they're just going to go ahead and move on and take early retirements or move on to other type of work. And so offices are going to be very difficult to get into, very difficult to get your claims approved. Disability is going to take so much longer. And those people that are currently receiving benefits, you should be okay unless you have an issue. If you're filing for early retirement and you decide to go back to work or something like that, and you report that to the Social Security Administration, it might not be updated. You might get an overpayment. And then when you have your overpayment, you want to go in there and negotiate your overpayment to see if you, well, guess what? There's nobody there. So that's how you break the system. Martin O'Malley, the recent commissioner of Social Security Administration, just did an interview where he says, yeah, 30 to 90 days, the system will be broke. And perhaps that's the entire intention. And I mean, I'm a very positive type of guy, very optimistic. It doesn't sound like it sometimes, but this could be an opportunity to, obviously Social Security needs to, focus on fraud, waste, and abuse. Social Security OIG and the Government Accountability Office always has been doing that for a long time. All you have to do is read your local newspaper, state newspaper, and type in Social Security, local man, local woman is found for fraud, thrown in jail, restitution, whatever the case may be. It's found all the time. Is there more of it that can be found? Absolutely. But one of the issues is that the computer system, the Social Security Administration has been demanding, begging, pleading with Congress for decades. We need to update the Social Security system. Our system is from the 1970s, COBOL and Fortran. Sure, we've been, putting lipstick on this pig for decades. So they have the underlying MCS, MISIX PCOM, it's called. And on top of that, they put in all kind of different programs on top of it to make it a little bit easier, but the underlying basic information is still from 1970s technology. And the Social Security Administration has been saying, please, we need to update this. We need to update this. And Congress said, no, now we're going to do it. No, we're not going to give you any debt. We'll give you a few pennies so you can go ahead and put that lipstick on the pig, but we're not going to have you, we're not going to help you fix the pig. And perhaps this is the critical time where finally, hopefully, somebody comes in, Elon Musk, whoever, Doge, the computer geniuses that they have working for them, and update the Social Security system, which Social Security has been requesting forever. But in my estimation, they are doing it all wrong. They're doing it in reverse. First, you update the system so you don't mess with some people's benefits that are about to file, that are, their cases are pending. You don't mess with those people by taking away the people, the Social Security employees that are helping those people. You update the computer system, you get everything right, and you make sure it's safe and protect people's information, make sure it's easy to use. And then, with all those efficiencies, then you start letting people go. You don't just, throw everybody out and then as Elon Musk, he's tech support, reboot the system. You can reboot all these other programs, USAID, they tried to reboot that and then they realized, oh, wait a second, Ebola, maybe we should spend some money to make sure that doesn't become a, global pandemic. So they restarted that. But in terms of Social Security, if they're going to try that strategy with Social Security, they're just going to reboot the system. Then no checks are going to go out. People are going to be denied. People are going to get their wrong checks. And then, after a few months, then you have to go back in there and there's no employees. You go back in there and says, hey, I really deserve that benefit. I was getting this much before and what happened? So you don't really do that with that type of thing when, 40% of people are just living on Social Security alone. You have to do it in a more logical, compassionate, reasonable way. That's kind of not happening right now. I see the ultimate goal of possibly, making the system more efficient. There's a lot of things that could be made more efficient. I've reached out to Elon Musk and Doge several times and say, I've got tons of ideas, being in the belly of the beast for decades of how it could be more efficient and stop fraud, waste, and abuse. But so far, just crickets on that side. So I'm going to continue to put out these videos. But over the next several months, I'm going to continue to do these videos because people are not going to be able to get help from the Social Security Administration. So I am going to continue to do this. I just did one yesterday, as I mentioned, on disability benefits, on continuing to make sure you're getting the disability benefits. I do them on retirement benefits, make sure you're getting the correct benefit in retirement. Should you file for early? Should you file at full retirement age? Should you file at delayed retirement credits at 70 years old? So I will continue to do this and help people throughout the country. So make sure you share and like and subscribe and all that kind of good stuff. And then reach out to my partners at Chapter who sponsor all this, who make all this possible. And they support us and they support me and my son, which is a two-man operation. My son and I put all this together. He makes sure I don't make a complete fool of myself. Sometimes he succeeds, sometimes he doesn't, but that's completely my issue. So I'm going to continue to answer questions. And if you need any help with all things Medicare, make sure you reach out to my partners there, and so they can keep supporting us so we can keep supporting you. All right, let's go through. I've stalled enough, 9 minutes there. I want to get into as many questions as possible. Vicky Reddy, the tricks are made by the people trying to get rid of Social Security and Medicare. Yeah, the Elon Musk just went on Joe Rogan. I'm going to do a response video to that, and he was talking about Social Security being a Ponzi scheme. Um, I think Elon needs to get a dictionary. I'm not sure if the South African dictionaries are different than the American English dictionary. His idea of fraud, waste, and abuse is any program that he doesn't like, and therefore, if you don't like it, it's fraud, waste, and abuse. So let's get rid of it. His idea of a Ponzi scheme is not the kind of definition. A Ponzi scheme, if you look at the dictionary, a form of fraud in which belief in the success of a non-existent enterprise. So Social Security has been around since 1935. It is in existence. It is an enterprise. So a form of fraud in which belief in the success of a non-existent enterprise is fostered by the payment of quick returns. Social Security has never been famous for quick returns to the first investors from money invested by later investors. Okay, number one, these are not investors. This is, FICA taxes. And yes, Social Security since day one has been as a pay-as-you-go system. The money coming in essentially goes out. And that's why every now and then they start a trust fund to cover it. So in the 1980s, they said, okay, in the future, you got those, 70 million baby boomers that were born between 1946 and 1964. Eventually, they're going to retire if they're lucky. And they're going to need money. So let's start putting money away. That's one of the reasons one of the main reasons why they started taxing Social Security benefits and putting all that, raise the retirement age and all that stuff. And now there's, $2.6, $2.7 trillion in the savings specifically for them that they put into the system, because Social Security can only pay out what it brings in. If they bring in 80% in terms of FICA and interest on the trust fund and taxes on Social Security, 80%, but 100% needs to be paid out. There's a gap of 20%. Where does that 20% gap come? It comes from the trust fund. So they take the money out of the trust fund. They've been taking it out every year. In 2023, the numbers was about $70 billion coming out of the trust fund. 2024 is probably about 80, 90 billion or so. This year, probably about 100, 110 billion is going to be taken out of the trust fund and put in your checks. So if you're getting a Social Security check, probably 7, 8, 9, 10% of that check comes from the trust fund. So it's not fake money, which, politicians have been trying to trick us for a while. And it's interesting that these, the Wall Street people want Social Security trust fund. They don't believe it's fake money, but it seems like the American people think it's fake money. So maybe that's something. Always ask yourself, who benefits when you believe what you believe? If I believe it's a fake money, who benefits when I believe that? Always ask yourself that question. Maria, when a person on disability reaches full retirement age and it switches to regular Social Security, do the previous medical coverage remain? Yes. Good question, Maria. A lot of people don't know that when you are receiving disability benefits, SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, and you reach your full retirement age, not 65, but your full retirement age, 66 and 8 months, 10 months, 67, then your disability kind of stops. You still have, you're still disabled and everything. You continue to get Medicare if you have Medicare, but your benefits no longer come out of the Social Security Trust Fund. It comes out of the Retirement Trust Fund, and the check stays the same. Direct deposit stays the same. Most people don't even realize the switch. But the key is that you no longer have CDRs, the continuing disability reviews. I talked about those yesterday. So if you're on disability, make sure you watch the video I did yesterday on all of that to protect your benefits in the future. And you no longer work limitations. So once you hit your full retirement age, you're on regular retirement. And because you're after your full retirement age, you're, no more work requirements at all. So Nancy, liars, you don't know how to damage everything President Trump tries to do for the benefit of the country. You just want to scare people for your benefit. Shame on you. Okay. Yeah. If you think Social Security is currently providing awesome customer service and you're able to get an appointment and everything is hunky-dory, then yep. Okay. A lot of other people don't agree with you. We should focus on supporting Social Security Expansion Act. Yes, that Senator Bernie Sanders introduced last week. How come they don't talk about that? Nope, no mention of it anywhere. Yes, he just passed it. Senator Larson had another one that's been going on for the long time. It's basically If you make over $176,100 this year, you no longer pay Social Security FICA tax. So you and I, probably you as well, unless, if you're making quite a bit of money, most people out there that are watching, you pay Social Security FICA tax on every dollar you make. If you make over $176,100 this year, you no longer pay Social Security FICA tax anymore. And that's the reason, that one of the main reasons why the Social Security Trust Fund is, running out, is because the people making a lot of money aren't paying into it like we are paying into it. So that's what the Expansion Act is talking about. And also, he also wants to increase benefits for people, $200 a month, so $2,400 over the year. But frankly, just between you and me, they've been trying to pass that forever. And with the current political climate, I don't think it's going to pass. So I think, I think the cuts are going to happen. The future cuts are going to happen. And we're going to have to come up with Plan C. Yes. Ed, received my bulk fairness act, my bank 43. Am I tight that the payment is for 14 months? Am I right? Probably. Yeah. The Social Security Fairness Act, they finally, interpreted the two sentences that the Congress wrote about the Fairness Act, and they had to interpret it and, make it into a policy and all the details. And then the computer programmers had to go in there and program it to get your benefits. And so that, I told everybody when it first passed, we're probably talking about, for the easy ones, March, April. And there's a lot of people came on here and says, no, it said it was going to be a year. Yeah, for the difficult ones, it might take a lot longer. But for the easy ones that are already being wept in the MBR, the PIA is already wept. Those are easy. And as I said, it came true. So, hey, I'm like a broken clock, I guess, right 2 times a day. But yeah, it is for 14 months. It goes back to January of 2024. Sharon, I was divorced and my husband passed in 2022. Am I entitled to any of his Social Security benefits? Yeah, if you were married to the person for 10 years, you had to be married to someone for 10 years in order to get divorced spouse benefits, divorced surviving spouse benefits. But absolutely, you have to be at least 60 years old. As a surviving spouse, you do not have to file for benefits on your own record. If you're already receiving benefits on your own record, then you just go ahead and add those survivor benefits on top of yours. So yes, you'll need the marriage certificate and the divorce decree in order to collect those benefits. So my brother, there we go. I like this. I always like my brother, my sister, my cousin, the little old lady down the street. We need to reach out there and help as many people as possible, particularly over this next many months while the system is rebooted. Bad way to do it, but it's reality. My brother receives SSDI and SSI in Maryland. He is intellectually disabled. If he moves to Florida, do we need to reapply? No. SSDI, doesn't matter where you live, anywhere in the world except for North Korea and Cuba. SSI, he just needs to do a living arrangement change. So when he moves down to Florida, you have to contact the local Social Security office. And again, good luck with that. But yeah, you'll have to contact the local Social Security office and do a living arrangement change is what they call it. Update it, because he's going to have, maybe, pay more or less rent and live in a different area. And so because SSI is a welfare-based program, supplemental security income, they have to check, any type of benefits or any other income coming in. So yes, you have to update Social Security and obviously the address and all that kind of good stuff. Yes. So if the rent and everything and his expenses stay the same income, then shouldn't see any change whatsoever. So I think I heard you say I can get my ex-husband's Social Security. I am remarried. Can I still get it or what? I am 66 and 8 months. It sounds like your ex-husband is still out there somewhere, alive and kicking. So if that's the case, no, because you got remarried. But if your ex-husband is deceased, you're a surviving spouse, and you can remarry after the age of 60. So if you remarried before the age of 60, no. And if your ex-husband is still out there alive and kicking, then no, because you are remarried. And I assume you are still married. If you remarry and then divorced, then that opens you up for those other benefits. So Robin, I've been waiting for disability to approve my claim for 2 years now. I've hired a lawyer. They have no word either. I live in pain day and night. Thank you for all you do. Wow. That's, yeah, that hurts. And, reach out to your politicians. Elon Musk says federal employees now have to respond to him on a weekly basis of what you did, what you accomplished last week. All right. I think he's thinking too small. Maybe you should reach out to our politicians every week and say, okay, hey, Senator, hey, Congressperson, what did you do last week to make my life easier? I want 5 bullet points by the end of the week. And once I get them, I'll call you up next week and we'll do it again. You shouldn't be able to take any of our money that's stealing. We put in that money like a bank account. He can't go in and steal it from us. Shouldn't we be able to sue him? Yeah, he's not. They're not taking money out of the trust fund. The money is still there. It's blocking access to that money. So when you block access to the money, people don't get the right check at the right time. They miss months because they weren't able to get in. But I know all the tips, tricks, and secrets to make sure you get all your benefits, and that's why I do these videos on a regular basis. So you have the information, you have the weapons to go in. Well, I shouldn't use the word weapons, but you have the knowledge to go in there, and even if it takes you forever, which it will from now on, you can protect yourself to make sure you get every check. And so that's why I've done over 1,000 videos. And I'm going to continue to do these, probably even more, because it's going to be chaos over the next several months. So, and your videos are extremely helpful. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. I see nothing good about this administration. Nothing. Yeah, it's. Going over fraud, waste, and abuse. Nobody can complain about that, but it's. I haven't seen a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse. I've seen a lot of programs that were shut down that they just didn't like, but those programs were passed by the House of Representatives, our democratically elected representatives. They were passed and debated and passed by the Senate. They were signed by the president, and so those are programs. You might not like them, and because you don't like them, you can't necessarily say, well, because I don't like them, it's fraud, waste, and abuse. So yeah, the definition is, Social Security is a savings plan to help Americans save. Yeah, it's a social safety net. It is the most successful anti-poverty program in American history, bar none. So it definitely, I'm in the park of, it definitely needs to stick around. It needs to be improved. Obviously, more fraud, waste, and abuse needs to be, get most of the fraud, waste, and abuse for Social Security. Every report that's ever done, Social Security always passes all its audits. Ernst and Young and different, they do audits, and Social Security always passes with flying colors. Department of Defense, on the other, never passes. It seems like with the last 7 audits, they failed. But Social Security always passes. And in terms of fraud, waste, and abuse, we're looking at less than 1% of what goes out. So that is very, very good. Can it get better? Can it be down to 0.5%? Absolutely. Every little bit helps. A lot of the overpayments you see out there are just people are having a difficult time navigating the system. And that's where a lot of the incorrect payments go out. So if you're filing for early retirement, 63, 64, 65, people, they file for early retirement. They say they're not going to work, and then they decide to go back to work, and they forget to call, contact Social Security, or they kind of, they strategize it and say, hey, I'm going to be over a little bit. And that's where a lot of the payments come from. Disability, there's a lot of work, kind of initiatives that Social Security, because Social Security wants you to go back to work. So they try to make it as easy to go back to work. And if you're able to go back to work, then they stop your benefits. But the system is very difficult to navigate. So if Elon or whoever wants to make that system easier to navigate, that will bring the so-called fraud, waste, and abuse, which is, not really fraud, waste, and abuse. People just don't understand the system. That will bring it down to, 0.2% probably. So yeah. Again, I'm optimistic. If he wants to, help that and help the trust fund, then there are possibilities, but the way they're going about it is not the greatest. New silver members, people join the community. Ingrid and Sandra became silver members. Thank you very much. Carmen, Steve, thank you for joining. We appreciate it. All right, let's see what else we got here. I have my Social Security direct deposited into a bank, but it's closing. I was able to set up a new direct deposit, but it won't start until May. What happens to the March and April checks? I was able to set up a new direct, but it won't start until May. Yeah, if you set up a direct deposit with Social Security, and again, you're able to, get in there and actually do it, that you can probably do online. Yeah, not sure why it won't start until May. You should be able to do that immediately. Well, but what will happen is if because Social Security sends files to the Department of Treasury, and hey, pay these checks, write these checks, do these direct deposit. So what will happen is if it goes to your bank and your bank kicks it back because there's no longer an account like that, it will return to the Department of Treasury, and the Department of Treasury will notify Social Security Administration, and it will go on what you called your master beneficiary record, your MBR, as a credit that you have X amount of, two, three, four, $5,000 credited there. And then when your new direct deposit kicks in, your new information, then that money will be released. So it should be automatic. So you shouldn't have an issue. So if they cut Social Security Medi-Cal, which is Medicaid in California, California's always got to be original. They got to call everything a little bit different. Some states call Medicaid a little bit different thing. They're going to have a homeless crisis and a lot of debt people, a lot of sick. Yeah, Medicaid, 80 million people are on Medicaid. A majority of those are elderly people on Medicaid, the disabled, and children. And yeah, that's going to put a real hamper on people. That's going to be very, very tough. And I did a video on this a few days ago that if people get cut off on Medicaid, people that are on the higher levels of Medicaid are participating in this program called the Medicare Savings Program. And Medicaid, the state pays for their Part B program, the $185. So they're going to lose Medicaid, and they're going to have a lot more, bills, medical bills to take care of, and they're going to have to pay the $185 themselves, the Medicare, and yeah, so it's going to be very, very difficult. So if you lose Medicaid, if you move, if you have a Medicare and Medicaid, you're eligible for what's called a Medicare Advantage dual eligible plan. And I usually recommend a Medicare supplement plan, a Plan N or a Plan G. But if you have Medicaid, you can't get one of those. But if you have a Medicare Advantage dual eligible plan or any Medicare Advantage, you can actually change your plan right now. January, February, March is the open enrollment period. And luckily, you don't have to contact Social Security to switch that. You just contact a chapter there, and they can see if there's a better plan in your area. It's March here, so if you change your Medicare Advantage plan, find a better one, find one that now covers your doctors or saves you some money, then your new plan will start April 1st, and chapter can help you out with all that. And also during the open enrollment period, you can also switch back to original Medicare. So you can get out of your Medicare Advantage plan, go to original Medicare, and then get a Medicare supplement. But to get the Medicare supplement, then you'll have to go through the health underwriting. So let's see, Dr. Ware, you sound like you are bashing the administration every time I try to listen to you. Can't you just give the facts and stop giving people stuff, even on this message thread to argue about? No. Yeah. So as I said, I'm very optimistic, and I think they did it opposite. If you think, to shut down the system and then fix it later is a good strategy, then yeah, then we'll have to respectfully disagree with you. All right, I'm 59 on SSDI since July of 23, and I'm on a 5-year review. Got my doctor to write a letter stating my physical condition is chronic and likely permanent. How likely to trigger a CDR by moving? Yeah, by moving, it's not necessarily an issue. Make sure you watch the video I did yesterday, and I talk about that in detail and all the tips, tricks, and secrets that you need to watch out for, because that is, when you're looking at, fraud, waste, and abuse for Social Security, it's SSI and SSDI. Because, for retirement, it's hard to fraud, waste, and abuse in retirement. You're insured, you're not insured. So but it's mostly disability and SSI, the supplemental security income, the welfare-based program. So if Doge and Elon and everybody goes after fraud, waste, and abuse, which again, beautiful, awesome, but they have the tendency to, shoot first, ask questions later. So a lot of people are going to get caught up in the fraud, waste, and abuse, lose their benefits, have to justify their benefits again after their check stop or whatever the case may be. So watch my video yesterday, and I go through all of that to make sure that you're safe in case you get caught up in all the craziness. So let's see. You're wrong. I sure 99% could be processed automatically with a certain percentage audited. Manually touch 100% is mind numbing. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there could definitely be more systems, but I don't know about 99%. I'm not sure what office you worked in behind the scenes, but yeah, if you have retirement claims, 99% of those can be done automatically. But survivor benefits, not necessarily so. Disabled adult child benefits, not necessarily so. Independently entitled divorced spouse benefits, not necessarily so. Disability, obviously not so. Supplemental security income, not so. So yeah, but when people think about Social Security, they just think about Social Security cards, and which Social Security cards you can do actually online in most states. You don't have to talk to anybody. You just do go on to SSA.gov for a replacement. If you need a new Social Security number, then you actually have to talk to somebody. So, all right, let's see. I'm clicking just at random here, and we actually think we know what they're doing behind our backs, as we have known for the past 40 years. Okay. Let's see here. Get some other questions. I'm planning to retire this summer. How soon should I apply for? And planning to move out of the U.S. Should I worry? No to my receive my check, and what can I do? Okay, number one, good on applying before you leave. There's a lot of people that go overseas, expats, they move overseas, and then they try to apply. It's 10 times more difficult to apply overseas because you have to go through a federal benefits unit, and those take forever, ever, and ever. They're going to take 10 times longer now. But yeah, file for those benefits before you go. And you can only file 3 months ahead of time. So 3 months before you want your benefits to start, go ahead and file. If you're going to be using a bank account, if you're going to be changing your bank account to an overseas bank account, never, ever, ever close out on anything, even if it's a domestic bank account. Don't close out your old bank account until you know the check is coming into your new bank account. So if you're going to switch, domestic bank account or international bank account, confirm that the check went into the new one before you close out the other one. And that way you'll make sure you get your benefits. All right. SSA isn't one of the problems about fraud regarding illegal immigrants getting Social Security numbers of deceased and using them to collect benefits. No, that's a internet myth. According to the recent Social Security review, no. What illegals do, people that are not allowed to work in the country, they get fake Social Security numbers, and then they work and they pay into Social Security, and they never get that money back. It's estimated that they contribute $37 billion a year into Social Security, which they will never get back. So thank you for that donation. So if we, kick all those people out, then it's going to put more strain on the Social Security Trust Fund because, they're not giving their donations. They won't get those back. They can't get it back because they're not in the country legally. So yeah, I've had terrible. Here's in order to get Social Security, retirement benefits, disability benefits, you have to, prove that you're, U.S. citizen or green card. And then the Social Security Administration has to go to the SAVE program or do a paper. It's the G845. And they have to check with the INS to make sure it's a valid green card and everything like that. So they have to go through the entire thing. And how stringent is it? How strict is it? I always tell this story. In offices throughout the country, not so much anymore, but when Vietnam vets started to reach 62 years old, they would come in to the Social Security Administration and file for retirement benefits, and we had to deny them. Why? Not all, obviously, but a few, because let's say they were born in Canada and their parents brought them over when they were very young, and they've been living in the United States, since they were 2 years old. They were drafted, went to the Vietnam, served, 1 or 2 tours in Vietnam, got the Silver Star, Bronze Star, Purple Heart, whatever the case may be. They worked in their country in the United States all their life, and when they're 62, they go to the Social Security Administration, and they can't prove their legal status in the United States. That's how strict it is. So we couldn't give them benefits. Obviously we, told them how to fix it. They, contact the INS and get a, naturalization or get a green card or whatever the case may be. But that gives you an indication of how difficult it is to, yeah. So these videos used to be done without any political agenda. I'm really disappointed to see the way they are being conducted now. Yeah, sorry. As you can see up there, for free help from a former insider to claim your benefits and to protect your Social Security. So, I came to the realization that, okay, I'm going to help you get your benefits, but, if your benefits are cut in a few years, I haven't done my mission in my semi-retirement. So how do we do that? We get people, because politics is all about resources. One side says they want, government resources, manpower, money to go to this particular agenda, and the other political, side said they want, resources to go this other. That's politics. It's not partisanship is different, but that's politics. I'm of the party, which 80% of Americans are, of that Social Security should be strengthened, and that resources should go to Social Security, Medicare, to make sure people get what they paid for all of their lives. So that is my political agenda. And so there's that. Why can't I get my deceased husband's benefits? I was told I can only get the higher of the two, and since mine is higher, I get my own. So what happens to his? Yes, that is correct. If you're currently receiving benefits on your own record and your husband passes away, then yes, you get the higher benefit. If you haven't started benefits, you can choose either one. So you can get spouse benefits for a while and then switch on to your own later, or you can get benefits on your own to start with and switch to survivor benefits later. But one offsets the other. So you'll still get, essentially the higher benefit. What happens to his benefits? That's the social part of Social Security. So the money goes into the trust fund, and people used to ask me all this time. And usually, when I was taking claims, you had a case of a young parent who, died in a tragic accident or a house fire or, cancer or something like that. And they left, 2 or 3 kids, and that's where your deceased husband benefits goes to. It goes to other people that didn't pay into Social Security enough. It goes to those people. So that's the social part of Social Security. It's not an IRA. Sorry, Social Security is not an IRA. So people always say, "Oh, I would get so much better if I invested this, that." Yeah, well, that's more power to you. But this is a social safety net. I have Medicare Part B and also CHAMP VA survivor benefits, and that covers any deductibles and all the prescriptions. Do I need a supplement plan? I don't have vision and dental, so I don't know what to do. No, if you've got Part A, Part B, you've essentially got, kind of TRICARE for life. That is your supplement plan. You definitely, you don't need a Medicare supplement plan, one of the Medicare, Medigap plans, because you'd have to pay for that on a monthly basis. And why? That's just a waste of money. Some Medicare insurance agents will try to sell you a Medicare Advantage plan. Chapter doesn't do that. They said you're good the way you are. You've got plenty of coverage. If you don't have vision and dental, there's companies out there will try to sell you a dental plan, a vision plan. Myself and Chapter are not really big on those. The best way to do dental is just go to your dentist, whatever dentist you have, and ask them and say, "Hey, I don't have dental, look at my teeth. Does it look like I need insurance? And if I do, what do you take?" And you sign up for whatever plan they have. Or most of the times the doctors say, the dentist says, "No, you don't really need insurance, and, just pay cash and, we can make a deal." So yeah, dental insurance and all that kind of stuff. Anyway. Convicted in kangaroo court. Exactly what law did he actually? Okay, somebody's answering somebody else's question. Is guardianship needed to parents to enroll their adult disabled child in Medicare? No. So if you have a disabled adult child, they should be getting Medicare automatically. A disabled adult child, once they're on that disability SSDI for 24 months, then they will get signed up for Medicare automatically. So you don't have to necessarily sign them up. You'll have to find them a plan to, cover all the gaps original Medicare doesn't cover, Medicare Advantage, probably a Medicare Advantage because they're under 65. It depends on your state, but probably a Medicare Advantage plan if you're under 65, because most states don't offer Medicare supplement plans. But okay, guardianship is different than a representative payee. So if you want to speak for your child in front of the Social Security Administration and call and change direct deposit and sign up for this, that, and the other, then you'll need to be appointed the representative payee for that child. And so when the check comes, it'll say your name for and the child's name. So you can do that. So yeah, you don't necessarily need guardianship for that. You just need to, show that he or she is not able to take care of his own benefits. Let's see. I hope they are not taking money away, then I won't have enough to live in my home. Yeah. Again, if you are currently receiving benefits, you should be good. If you're missing your check or something like that, or something happens, then that's going to be tough. The people that are going to be filing for benefits, and what is it? This is a terrible time for this to happen because 11,000 people turn 65 every day in the United States now. So this is the record. This is the most people turn 65 in U.S. history. Last year it was the record, but now a new record. So this is a terrible time for the system to essentially go down, and for them to, get rid of all these people that you paid for them to help you. That's the terrible thing about all this. All of those decades you paid into Social Security, the FICA tax, part of that went to your Social Security. So when you get your retirement, a disability, survivor benefits, spouse benefits, whatever the case may be, it went into that. But a percentage of that, a very, very small percentage of that, went into, you prepaid for your customer service. You said, okay, here's my money. And then part of that money, so when I need help, you're going to be there to get help, to help me navigate the bureaucracy and make sure I get everything I need, earned, entitled to, and all the rest of it. Well, guess what? Politicians, Doge, Elon Musk has now made it to where there's nobody there to be there for you. So it's a terrible time to do this. Again, I understand what they're doing, but they should have done it the opposite way. Fix the system and then start letting people go. I really wish someone was credible enough to tell the true story of why Social Security was created, because corporations go bankrupt, banks go bankrupt that hold individual investments. Yes. Yeah, that's why it started in 1935. Actually, there's a lot more complicated, but yeah, it's in the old days, before the Great Depression, parents took care of their kids, and when the parents got old, the kids took care of the parents. The old days, right? So you didn't really need Social Security. They lived on the farm and stuff like that. After the Civil War, it switched. They moved from the farm to the cities and stuff in a greater percentage. But in the old days, parents took care of the kids, and later on, the kids took care of the parents. But that all changed during the Great Depression, when the kids could barely take care of themselves, and they had to take care of themselves and their own children. So the parents would say, "Okay, yeah, forget about it. Just let us starve." And so Franklin Delano Roosevelt and all the rest of them decided, well, that's not a good situation to have in our country. So they started the social safety net, Social Security, and it's been around since 1935. Again, the greatest, most successful anti-poverty program in American history. It's going to be all different from now on. So all bets are off. We'll see what happens. Tammy, easy solution. Go away, find another stream if you don't like the stream. Okay. I love negative comments. It's the old Marine Corps sergeant in me. I like being yelled at, and anyway. So Ed knows his stuff. Quit whining. We are grateful for his expertise and generosity. Yeah. I try not to offend anybody because people always say, you know who the problem is. And so stop giving them a break and stuff like that. Now, you know, I, my philosophy is, if you're left, right, whatever, political, whatever part of the political spectrum, 80% of people believe in Social Security and that they want their checks, and 100% of people want their checks to continue. And so, those people are suffering. The people on the left are suffering just as much as the right, and the right is on the left. And whatever you believe politically, you still need to live a decent life. So I try to moderate. Again, my political party is protect Social Security and protect your checks. That's my political party. So there's that. Can you get survivor benefits if you already collect your own? Yes, absolutely. If those survivor benefits are higher than your own. So if you're currently collecting, $2,000 and you're entitled to survivor benefits, you were married to the person for 10 years. If it's a divorce type situation, or you're married to the person for 9 months, and when they passed, then you're absolutely entitled to survivor benefits. Remember, survivor benefits start at 60 years old. You can start survivor benefits at 60. That's another mistake people do. So please, share, subscribe, like, and all that kind of good stuff, so this gets out to more people. There's a lot of people that sit around and to collect survivor benefits until they're 62, and they've lost 2 years of benefits. So survivor benefits start at 60. Actually, survivor benefits can technically start at 50. It's called the DWIB, Disabled Widow's Benefit. So if you're a widow and you're disabled, as the name implies, you can file for benefits on the deceased spouse's record as early as 59. So from 50 to 59, you can file for disabled widow's benefits. Starting 60, you can just, file for, anyone. So thanks for being socialist, senior MAGAs, such comrade, you rock. Yeah, I mean, you see that, you're too left, you're so socialist. Well, kind of, the name is Social Security. So anyway, I avoid Advantage plans. I agree. But 51% of people get Advantage plans. I always recommend starting with a Medicare supplement plan. Checking out a Medicare supplement when you're 65, new to Medicare, you lose your Medicaid, you move, or whatever the case may be, or you're in your, open enrollment period, which is right now. Please check out Medicare supplement plans first, the N or the G plan. And then if it's not for you, then a Medicare Advantage plan. The reason most people start with a Medicare Advantage is because they don't know the difference. The agent or broker doesn't tell them, because usually they get more money if they get you a Medicare Advantage plan, or they get the zero premium. That's what gets people, is that zero premium. With the Medicare supplement, there's a premium you pay every month, anywhere from 80, 100, 120, 150, depending on your particular area, how old you are, and everything. Always check out a Medicare supplement. But quite often it's a budget issue. You're not able to get it, or you're not able to get it because of health underwriting or whatever the case may be. So, someone says 2025 is a Jubilee year. Yeah, that goes back to the, Catholic Church. They were wipe out all of debts every now and then. So I think we should do that. Just wipe out all debts. Dr. Ed, I've got Indian Health. Will that be enough to cover me with my Medicare A and B? It really depends on how you like your hospital. If it's good and it provides everything and you're happy with it, awesome. In your particular case, if you have Indian Health, I probably wouldn't recommend a Medicare supplement plan. I would definitely check that out first, but probably not, because, Medicare supplements, the N or the G, you have to pay for it. And you already have Indian Health, so there's no use in, paying necessarily for that. But some do get a Medicare Advantage plan. And so it really depends on what's available in your area. And why do they do that? Is that way if they want a second opinion, or they want to see another doctor outside of the system, they can do that. And again, those are, probably in your area, it's a zero premium plan. So check it out. And there might even be some extra bells and whistles, free dental or vision, or maybe one of those grocery cards you see, kind of advertised. They do exist. They're kind of advertised, kind of scammy, but they do exist. So, oh, here we go. I love these questions. My friend, there's someone looking out for somebody else. My friend is a widow, but his first wife, first to Social Security, and she's getting it. My friend was married for over 25 years with her husband while she was dealing with her death. Okay, wow. My friend is a widow, but first, okay, so if same situation applies, if you were married to someone for 10 years or married to them when they passed and you were married at least 9 months, you're now 60 years old, then you can collect benefits on that record. So even if you're collecting benefits on your own record, if the surviving spouse benefits are more, they can add those on top. And one offsets the other, but they can definitely add that on top. So I would definitely reach out to Social Security and see if there's any more benefits available there. And you don't necessarily need to know the Social Security number of that person. You just call up Social Security and sit on the phone for 3 hours, unfortunately. And you, if you don't know the social, you just give them the person's name, the date of birth as well as it, and the place they were born, city and state they were born, and the Social Security employees will be able to find it, no problem. And then they'll look at that particular record and they'll see if there's any more money, if that record, that has a higher benefit amount, and if there's more money, then they will go ahead and schedule you an appointment to get their money. So Fred became a platinum member. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Dr. Weir, thank you for ignoring the trolls. I have learned a lot from myself and my friends. Thank you so much. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, like I said, yeah. I'm getting married. He is a chiropractic surgeon. Oh, okay. All right. Let's see here. When should you apply for Social Security when you turn 70? The last week of December 2025, August, or September? So if you turn 70 in December, remember your delayed retirement credits stop the month you turn 70. So don't wait the month after. 2 or 3 months before. And with the situation is now, I would do it, exactly 3 months before. So pretty much to the day. And if you are already receiving Medicare, because you're going to be turning 70, if you already filed for Medicare when you turn 65, the entire process will be a lot easier because you're already in the system. You've already proved your date of birth and your citizen, your legal status and all that kind of good stuff, naturalization or citizenship or whatever the case may be. So once you file for Medicare first, you're already in the system, and then when you start your benefits later, it's so much easier. So yep. But about 3 months before is a beautiful thing. How come you only have 4,000 subscribers? There is 40 million people on Social Security. Yeah, I've got 400,000 subscribers. Yeah, it's going pretty awesome. So, but yeah, there's 70 million people on Social Security. What's going on out there? Yeah, come on, people, join us here. Help. And the most important thing is share with your friends and family, listen to, survivor benefits and disability and retirement benefits, how to get, everything you earned and need for yourself, but then share that information. Think of other people around you. Oh, I know this person is getting survivor benefits. Let's see if, that person's getting the right thing. So for a person living in nursing home, California, due to Alzheimer's, does cutting Medicaid affect her living arrangement? It could just very well. Yeah. If Medicaid pays for a lot of nursing homes out there. So if Medicaid is cut in, states throughout, and again, it sounds like it's going to be one of those, the president said he's not going to touch Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, but he's going to go after fraud. And okay, that's fine. But as we've seen, what's happening is it's a shotgun approach. They're looking at cutting Medicaid and saying that's cutting fraud. No, that's cutting money. And there's going to be a lot of people that get caught up in there. And they say, well, if we cut, the program in half, that should, get rid of all those people on fraud. No, the people that are frauding the system, they're really good at manipulating the system. So they might be the only ones left over that are getting Medicaid. Those hardworking people that are, struggling to get by, they will just give up and they'll lose their Medicaid or their disability or their SSI because they'll just give up and they'll not want to deal with the system because they're, truly aged, truly disabled, and they're not able to deal with the bureaucracy. But the people that are manipulating the system are really good at manipulating the system, and they will continue to manipulate the system. And, there might be, let's say there's, 20% fraud in Medicaid. So you cut it back, and then there'll be 80% fraud because of those are the only people that are, yeah. So check out the Page Act from the 1870s. It's kind of one of those strange little unintended consequences. So, what if your lawyers both did you dirty when the judge said you was also awarded a protection order? Yeah, I don't really help with protection order type stuff. Yeah. My friend asked the following question. Thank you for asking that question. And is 61. Her husband is 66 and receiving Social Security. She will be retiring in April. Can she apply for spousal benefits prior to her turning 62? No. Sounds like they're still married. But still sounds like he is still out there. So there's not a surviving spouse claim. So she has to be 62 years old. She has to file for benefits on her own record first, and then files spouse benefits on his record. So, but she has to file for benefits on her own record first. In the old days, before they pass a law in 2016, you could kind of manipulate the system, but that is no longer around. I really appreciate the time you spent with us. It's priceless. Wishing you the best in life. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right. Well, let's see. I always wondered where my Social Security goes. I collect his. So where does the money go? I donated all my life from working and never could make the money he could being a woman. Yeah, that's the social part of Social Security. It goes into, the pool, just like, car insurance. You pay car insurance all your life and, hopefully you never had an accident. And where does that money go? It's for all those people that had an accident. So it's just insurance, just like everything else, life insurance. And yeah, so I will be 64 in August. That said, I've been diagnosed with more problems now and qualified for long-term care. Am I going to be okay, or am I being kicked off because I'm not 65? Kicked off of what? Okay, so if you're 64, if you're collecting Social Security benefits, retirement benefits, disability benefits, sounds like maybe disability benefits. Again, watch my video yesterday on how to protect your disability, how to document your disability, how to deal with the bureaucracy. It's even, more necessary now. But make sure you watch that video. And you're going to be coming up to 65. So when you're on disability, there's a few times in your life you need to do something, check things out. When you're on disability, when you turn 60, see if you're entitled to any survivor benefits, because you can get disability and survivor benefits on top of it. One offsets the other. When you're 62, see if you're entitled to any spouse or divorce spouse benefits. When you're 65, see if you want to switch to a Medicare supplement plan, because they can't deny you now like they can before 65, and they can't charge you extra. And then when you hit your full retirement age, you're no longer on disability. You can do whatever you want. No more work limitations, no more continuing disability reviews or anything like that. So, Abby, what's up, Abby? I'm hoping I'm 75 years old of age, and I hope they're not going to cut my Medicare and let me know about the other thing we're talking about the financial clear up your debts. That would be great. Yeah, the Jubilee. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not sure when probably during the Middle Ages they did the last Jubilee or something. Not sure, but anyway, Medicare. Once Dr. Oz becomes the new leader, the new boss of the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, he has always been a big fan of Medicare Advantage plans, and I'm trying to be optimistic here. Okay, if you're going to make Medicare, and there's proposals out there that are supported by the current Congress and those that want to make Medicare Advantage the kind of the default option. When you sign up for Medicare Part A and Part B, you're automatically sign up for a Medicare Advantage plan. That's kind of what they're talking about. Okay, if you're going to do that, then the two things you need to address are those prior authorizations, there you have to ask your doctor who knows you has to ask an insurance company, you know, bookkeeper, bean counter, essentially, you know, whether you can get that, that surgery or that therapy or that prescription, um, and the networks. So if you're going to make Medicare Advantage for all, which might be coming down the pike here, then those two things have to be addressed. So if we want Medicare Advantage for all, then, it needs to be improved quite a bit. So, all right. Can't wait to seniors in line for Social Security like a bread line during the Great Depression. Yeah. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Yeah. Let's see here. We're over an hour. Nina became a member, silver member. Thank you all for supporting us. And the most important thing you can do is support your friends and family by sharing them, sending them the link, subscribing, liking, and all that kind of good stuff. So I hate to beg all the time, but that's how we teach this YouTube algorithm and all these algorithms how to get the information out there for people that need it. So, all right, that is it for today. Y'all have an awesome night. Please take care of each other, and we'll see you next time.